I think it's been like 53 years.
Has it really been that long?
Since our last lunar destination.
Yeah. I was getting upset with people. I mean, I wasn't audibly getting upset with people in the airport, but like I was kind of pissed that nobody else was watching this with me. I was like, are you guys watching the rocket?
You were talking to people?
Yeah.
Why are you in such a good mood?
Phoenix is good for your soul, man. I'm telling you. Owners meetings is my favorite thing of the year. It really is. It's like going on vacation and, with all your work friends. So,
Except for us.
Well, yeah, that made it better. It gave me time to miss you.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, you guys didn't enjoy me being gone for 5 days? Get out of here.
No. We didn't have somebody to lay back and let them do the show. We had to actually work. It's lame.
Did you have a good time at Titan's house?
Oh, my God, the free Hattie B's.
Yeah, I know. How much did you eat?
The woman was chastising me. I was like, just bring in some of these back to my table. She was like, no, you're not, fat ass. Eat another one, Tubby.
No, she did not.
She would never.
No, she was...
Don't besmirch good people at Hattie B's that way.
At first, it was a joke. And then after I had about 5 sliders, she was like, all right, Tubby, back of the line.
Last call.
Leave some for the rest of us. Remember drinking from the water fountain?
That wasn't just your inner monologue? No. Like some little voice in your head being like, put the chicken down.
No, I think she was just mean flirting with me. She liked the shape of me. You guys remember being fat as hell? No, y'all were probably never fat.
I was just fat, like 5 years ago.
Oh, like in middle school or high school or like anytime you get off.
Have you not seen this picture of me from my freshman year of high school? You'll die. You'll plaster it all over.
Were you a big fat fatty?
Oh my God.
Oh,
just gross.
But anyway, you'd be like slurging down some water fountain water just like as fast as you can breathe, and somebody's like, "Save some for the fishes." That used to cut deep, dude.
Just save some for the fishes, not some kind of whale name afterwards. No. I mean, if you're going to do it, finish the job.
They breathe air. They don't need water. They are mammals.
Oh, my God. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, we would be happy to have you at any point throughout the course of the next couple of hours. Like I said, we have some fun stuff going on in the noon hour regarding Titans draft coverage. Speaking of Titans draft coverage, Zach and Stoney are doing a live show, right?
That is correct. I think they're doing all 3 days of the draft.
That adds up.
Sickos.
That adds up.
What, all 3? They're going to do Friday or Saturday too? Saturday's a long day, man.
I have a feeling day 3 of the draft is Stoney Keeley's favorite day of the draft.
Oh, no, I'm sure. But that doesn't make him any less of a sicko. Where are they doing it?
Shouldn't you know that?
No, that's why I'm asking
liners?
you to.
Where are our liners at?
We haven't read a liner in, I don't know,
no,
at some point this calendar year.
That's not true.
Whenever Lucas had the last thing that he actually wanted to promote is the last time we did liners.
What would have that been?
The food harvest or food bank thing?
Oh, the Panzica Pantry.
Yeah,
at Lucas Panzica.
Which, by the way, did you see what happened at Second Harvest? All these, like, freight trucks blew up. Like, in their parking lot. It's insane. You guys didn't see this? This was a couple of days ago. I completely forgot to bring this up. I think it was right before I left. They had some kind of, like, issue. I didn't read into it after the fact. I just saw it on social media. But they had some kind of, like, explosive situation at Second Harvest. I hope everybody's okay.
I hope everyone is okay.
Like 5 days removed.
Hope everyone is not okay from having so much fun and being inebriated at Football and Other Efforts NFL Draft Party at Leapers Fork House of Spirits, 334 Main Street, number 104 in Franklin. They will be there Thursday, they will be there Friday, and then Saturday they will be at Leapers Fork Distillery.
Okay. And have they put out their draft guide yet?
No, we talked to Stoney about that on Tuesday, I believe. I think they're putting the last touches on it. Should go out sometime next week, I believe.
Getting down to the wire.
And the cool thing about their draft guide versus other people's draft guides, like I love team-specific draft guides because then players are going to be ranked accordingly to what your team needs. Or like, say, for whatever reason, if the Titans didn't really need an outside corner, they needed a nickel. They needed someone to start in the nickel. Like, well, then D'Angelo Pons and Rivers out of Duke, all of these guys would be ranked higher because it is a team-specific draft guide. That is what Stoney and Zach put together for your Titans draft viewing needs. A big fan of that. A big fan of the work that goes into that because you don't get to just watch it flatly like everyone else and enjoy every player. You have to look and see what the Titans actually need. So it's a little bit harder, in my opinion, but they do a great job.
Well, thank God, because did you guys talk about the sports media layoffs while I was out with what the hell happened at Pro Football Focus? And FanDuel now. I mean, we knew. I think we had talked about the FanDuel thing getting ready to happen.
That's jazz, baby.
That's tough, though. I mean, the Pro Football Focus thing is insane because they're still putting out like newsletters as if people are still writing for their website, except they fired everybody.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going to be more on the team side of things.
Yeah, no, they're going to still have the data distribution situation for teams, but a lot of the consumer facing stuff is going away, which just is terrible. Also, I would like a refund. I'm pretty sure they just charged me for my annual subscription. And then they laid off all our friends, which is crazy. Trevor Sikkema, who is going to, he's going to get a job anywhere he wants, I'm sure, in football. Dude works too hard, especially at this time of year, to not get a landing spot. But, our buddy Trevor, Mike Golick Jr. and Golick Sr. Are not doing their FanDuel show anymore. A lot of people let go from various sports media entities this week, which is just a damn shame because there's a lot of good people, a lot of talented people working there.
If you're interested in the rise and fall of PFF, Sam Monson put out an incredible video on YouTube talking about
a video.
Yes, him and what's the tall
Palazzolo?
Yeah, Palazzolo. They're both on, and they're just talking about the fall of PFF. What happened? What went wrong? What happened behind closed doors? If you like that sort of thing, like media, inside baseball stuff, very fascinating. We also got a call. It was the beer distributor business besides Second Harvest.
Oh,
that was
God.
So it was not Second Harvest Food Bank in their trucks that were maybe they were harmed, but it was not them that were exploding.
There was like multiple explosions over there, and it was I apologize if I said that incorrectly.
A little reckless by you.
Well, yeah, no, it was the direction of Second Harvest. That's my bad. But still, hope everybody was okay. So we will dive into the Titan signings coming up next. We will have a lot to talk about. We did cover most of them yesterday. There were a few more after the show got off the air. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Titans making moves yesterday. I don't think we were expecting another wave of free agents on April 1st of all days.
Well, and I forgot this until I was talking to some people after the show yesterday. They get going a lot earlier this year, 2 weeks earlier, as far as all their different offseason activities and voluntary stuff because they have a new coach. I completely forgot about that.
Oh, right.
So, like, they're gonna
It's crazy. I feel like we should know that by now.
I think the Ravens start on the 6th, like 4 days from now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Titans too. I think they're we don't have a schedule. I mean,
not yet.
We haven't been given officially a schedule, but I had completely, we just need our hand held essentially by the NFL to tell us what time and where to be at what particular date. But yeah, Titans get it going here in a couple of days, no more than a week. So they're going to have guys out there to essentially go through a practice. 4
signings yesterday. We'll come back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Great to enjoy some Hattie B's yesterday out at Titan's house.
Was there white chicken chili?
Shut up.
Sliders.
Tell him to shut up.
I was talking to Joe about the white chicken chili.
Tell him to shut up.
Don't worry. We're going to get some white chicken chili.
Yeah, but at what cost? At what cost?
You know the cost.
I finally understand.
You know the cost.
What the Italians must feel like when everyone's like, "Oh, the Chinese made noodles." It's like, no, we made them.
Well, they made them, but the Italians perfected them.
I don't think there's a more offensive voice that you do than your Italian voice.
That's not true.
He just gets by with it. Telling you, it's a blind spot. It's a blind spot in this world we're living in.
I'm surprised we haven't been canceled.
So Michael Carter, Hendon Hooker, Lance McCutcheon, KJ Osborne. Some recognizable names in here.
Sure.
It's an interesting draw of depth free agent signings, right? Because people remember KJ Osborne was productive for a couple years in Minnesota, did not see the field last year at any point with Washington. Hendon Hooker, for obvious reasons, is very well known around these parts. Lance McCutcheon was here at some point last year, right? He was on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Last year, yes.
Did he have a foot injury, or who's the receiver that was at Arkansas? That you had no idea who he was.
Landers. Matt Landers. I think so. Yeah. No, Lance McCutcheon was signed in October to the practice squad. He was a UDFA out of Montana State in 2022. He was released in November, re-signed to the practice squad, and then in March, less than a month ago, he announced his retirement on his Instagram, but he decided to reverse that decision and re-signed with the Titans on a 1-year deal yesterday.
All right.
So Lance McCutcheon is back. And then Michael Carter, who the North Carolina product, played for Robert Saleh, another former Saleh player from his time in New York, was there from 21 to 23. Carter was in Arizona for the last 3 seasons. And he had a really nice rookie year. I remember Michael Carter being like a factor in fantasy football his rookie year. I'll put it that way, where he had like almost 1,000 all-purpose yards.
He had a moment.
Yes.
And the rookie draft, too, or the draft he came out of, like it was the pairing of him and Javonte Williams coming out of Carolina. So it was like, both these guys are good. When's the last time you knew a school get 2 running backs drafted like Love and Jadarian Price are about to be?
But it's an interesting move, right, to a running back room that already includes Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, and with all the Jeremiah Love talk around the Titans.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, this is obviously the Love and Tate dream, they're dead, right? Lance McCutcheon, Michael Carter.
That's right.
Would it be bridge too far to say that I think the Michael Carter signing is the only one that impacts the roster currently? Not what they do in the draft, not about them selecting Love. Michael Carter means Chestnut is gone.
Yeah.
Totally bye-bye.
Chestnut, I mean, what's to say?
And he may also be gone if they do select Love. But
Carter last year, by the way, played in 13 games, had 333 rush yards, 1 touchdown, 267 receiving yards.
I mean, and I don't think like Khalil Mullings is a lock by any stretch of the imagination.
Man, a bunch of running backs.
Yeah, they have a bunch of quarterbacks now too. They got a bunch of everything. That's what I'm saying. So, like I said, because somebody adds in the comment section where you can interact with the chat. The chat is now available for you. Bryce says it's just a bunch of practice squad signings. I mean, yeah, maybe, but like I mentioned earlier, they're getting ready to field a football team here in a couple of days, so they have to have depth in a variety of different places. And there's a lot of players who you've heard of or who have had moments that are still very much available. There's going to be a post-draft free agency. Mark Borgonzi brought that up. people will continue to be cap casualties after the draft. And then even once we get past June 1st, you don't know what's going to be out there and available for you to continue to add to your roster. And they clearly are not married to anything that is currently here other than the obvious, because they're bringing in basically a new football team this year, and not quite in the way that they did in 2024. You guys are welcome to chime in on the phones, too, at your convenience. 615-737-1045 is the number. But I'm with you, Robert. I think Michael Carter is at least of the latest crop of guys. What is this, the third wave of free agency, should we say? Yeah. He's the one who...
It's the start of the second.
Start of the second?
Yeah. The first big one where everyone got signed, that's the first one. This is the start of the second wave. The third wave will be after the draft.
I almost treat like day one as a wave unto itself because of the sheer volume of big signings that we get, but I get what you're saying.
I heard Zach say this yesterday on Cover 2, and I definitely agree that the Michael Carter signing obviously does not impact whether or not you draft Jeremiah Love. But if you get past the number 4 overall pick, regardless of, let's say you don't draft Love at 4, it probably prevents you from drafting a running back for the rest of the draft, with so many other needs that can be addressed in the amount of running backs in that room.
Yeah, it could. Well, yeah, but I think if they have one 7th round pick that they had in the Solomon Thomas pick swap, right now, which, by the way, just get rid of it. No, I don't care what you have to do. There's no need for a 7th round pick. But if you got a flyer in the 7th on a running back that you think may have other options should he get to undrafted rookie free agency, then you can spend a 7th round draft pick on a guy.
And for what it's worth, Michael Carter had more yards last year, all-purpose yards, than Tajay Spears did. Spears just had one more touchdown than he did.
Really?
Carter also started 4 more games than Spears did last year. Ended up having...
why is Tajay a lot?
I was about to say that. Like, should we be operating under this assumption that Tajay is on this roster? I don't know that we should.
Because his developmental runway is essentially done.
And he was always a one-contract... Well, viewed as a one-contract player because of the pre-existing... I'm not even going to call him injuries. His circumstance with the lack of ACL, we've talked about this before, teams will box players in the many ways that they do, but one contract or 2 contract player. And a guy missing an ACL at the running back position, you can talk about whether he was worth a 3rd round pick or not, Tajay Spears, because the idea of Tajay has been better than Tajay actually.
And we've seen it in spurts. So I think
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it kind of keeps people coming back on Tajay Spears because you can see the skill set and how useful it can be. But I don't know what's more concerning around Tajay Spears. The fact that, I don't know, would it be more concerning if it was the knee that everybody was concerned about plaguing him over these first 3 years? Or is it more concerning that it seems to be everything else? It's concussions, it's shoulders. It seems to be something different every time.
I don't think it matters because it's costing him games, right? So whatever it would be, if he's missing time, and he missed less time than he did the year previous.
He missed 5 games in 2025. He missed 6 games. I'm sorry. He missed 4 games in 2025, missed 5 in 2024 after playing in every game in 2023.
Yeah. So, like I said, the idea of Tajay, especially coming off his rookie year, and where you thought, okay, well, if he's in a different situation where he's not so pigeonholed behind Derrick Henry, how much better can he be? And the answer has been we still don't know, right? Because he's not consistently available. So no, I'm not looking at Tajay as a lock. Since we're coming off owners meetings, and I know you guys you may have not talked about it from this perspective, but about what Robert Saleh and Mike Borgonzi both had to say at the Combine. What did you make of the way that they both positioned specific to the number 4 pick in ways that were kind of opposite of one another? Maybe not completely opposite of one another, but the way that Mike Borgonzi talked about it is different than the way that Robert Saleh talked about it. Did you make anything of that?
I think I'm just done making anything of anything coaches or GMs say pre-draft.
Why?
Mike Borgonzi
It's not all a smokescreen.
Mike Borgonzi said it doesn't have to be a smokescreen, but Mike Borgonzi saying we're going to take the best player available is the same thing he said last year. Like, it's just the thing you say.
Different.
It's the thing that you say. And Robert Saleh was kind of just doing a thing where he's defending defensive guys, to me.
Isn't that notable?
It doesn't mean, but
I don't
sure,
think
but it doesn't mean anything.
Puts that out there.
Like, it doesn't mean anything to me.
I don't know that that's true.
That's not intentional to me. Robert Saleh, a defensive guy.
Why couldn't it be?
Defending, I guess it could be, but it feels like we're grasping at straws to sit here and say, oh, Titans are going to draft an edge rusher because Robert Saleh said, hey, defensive guys are playmakers too.
I'm talking about the positioning. That's positioning. Like, you want it out there that you value the defensive guy. That's not something that you just say for the sake of saying it.
But it also could be. Like, I'm just, when's the last time that you could take something somebody in this sort of position said pre-draft and apply it and say, oh, yeah, we should have listened to him?
I'm sure if you go back through and parse every letter of what they say, I do think it's interesting when you have, again, they're not saying different things necessarily, but there is a difference in the tone that they're taking specific to questions about the draft pick that I think is worth paying attention to. I'm not saying that it's the most groundbreaking revelation in the world. I'm just saying he clearly wants it out there that, yeah, I value these guys just as, maybe not just as much, but if you gave him the choice between an edge rusher and a running back, and both players are equally talented, is he going to take the running back?
Borgonzi, for him, we're just talking about him hammering the point of we're going to take the best football player.
I'm not reading as much. I'm not reading anything into that.
Yeah, to me, like, that's probably been said by every GM at some point before a draft.
Sure, I do think it gives us an insight into what he's saying in the room, because he's not saying anything publicly that he wouldn't say privately.
Right, but my point is he said this last year, right? They said this last year.
I'm talking about Saleh.
Oh, okay, so what are we exactly talking about with Saleh?
We're talking about what his argument would be if he decided he wanted to make a stronger case to the general manager, be like, no, I think that this is the best player available.
What was he asked?
Situation.
Like when we
don't have transcripts of these, but I can go back and find the audio for you. I have it on my phone.
Yeah.
It's a voice memo.
The quote from Saleh was essentially, hey, edge rushers are playmakers too, right? Like, kind of.
And there were different versions of the question asked specific to, okay, what are you thinking about your running back room? How do you view playmakers? I think it was specifically about offensive playmakers. That's when he brought up, and I can go back through and parse this for you specifically. But yeah, I do think it's not like I'm not saying it's a grand revelation or it's some kind of, controversial thing or anything. I just think it's him stating the case in more laid-back terms that he might be making a case in the draft room or in these draft discussions as they're getting ready to make a decision. That's all.
I think whenever these questions are asked trying to lead the recipient of the question somewhere. Right?
For sure.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's a bad or nefarious thing. Like, it is the job of a reporter to poke around, right, with Mike Borgonzi. Like, questions were asked trying to lead him towards saying, yeah, we could take Jeremiah Love, like something that could be sort of viewed as saying
Absolutely.
that, right? So those same questions to Robert Saleh about offensive playmakers, and his response being, well, defensive guys, edge rushers are playmakers too, to me is just him trying not to be led anywhere. Like, I just don't put any stock in it.
And it may be so, but I think that it's at least worth paying attention to. I would say that I'm not saying I put the most stock in it in the world, but I'm saying it's just something, right? Just something to note based on what the coach said versus what the general manager said in two separate media sessions with us. And these not even in front of, cameras and microphones. This was just a on the record, quotes only with Borgonzi, because I guess they don't do a GM. For some reason, I thought they did a GM breakfast, but I guess they don't. So it's just like, all right, we'll make your GM available here at this time with this situation. Some do video, some don't. Nothing came out about the Myles Garrett stuff, huh? Andrew Berry shot that down pretty hard.
Well, they're not trading him right now. We're not trading him right now.
He said Brown for life. Andrew Berry did, talking about Garrett. Yeah, I know. I'm just curious. Like,
the whole reason,
is there a way where if they moved him, that comment would look stupid?
Yes.
I agree.
Because it was dumb in the first place. But the whole reason that you do the style of restructure that they did is not to become cap compliant. It's not to make more room. It is to make a contract more acquirable in the future. So, like, it's obvious. Like, if they come out now and be like, yeah, we're not trading him now, but we'd be interested in trading him next year. Like, they lose a bunch of leverage for next year.
He'd be 32?
Something like that, yeah. Which kind of sucks for him because it's like, nah, just wait one more year of a stinky team, and then we'll trade you somewhere. Then we'll let the Rams give us 3 first-round picks for you.
God, what would Myles Garrett cost at age 32? Assuming that he's still, even
2 firsts. He's a freak.
has to.
He's a freak.
Has to. And I feel like he can do that to if he wants to. I think he can do that until he's 35. Potentially older if he wants to bounce around like some of these pass rushers. So there are things that come out in these individual sessions. And I thought the stuff from Borgonzi was interesting. I don't know if these quotes made it into if they haven't, they're up at A2Csports.com. The quotes about every guy that we ended up signing, or almost every guy that we ended up signing in the first major wave of free agency, those were dudes that we had high on our free agent boards anyway. And it just so happened that you were able to correlate that with the pre-existing coaching staff on two fronts, because you hired basically guys from two different coaching staffs, even though they were both in the same market together. They feel like that's going to be a net positive. The idea that these coaches, and something that, I don't know, you don't necessarily think about, especially in the draft process, how much more important it is for dudes to survive 4 years of the NFL experience, to understand the rhythms, the schedule, the way that you take care of yourself, and for a coach to see you go through those formative first couple of years, to be able to determine how you approach practice, what your methods on game day are, how you're coached, how you respond to your teammates and things like that. All your locker room presence, even though, for the most part, the coaches and the executives leave the locker room to police itself. What are we up to now as far as new players on this roster? Because they had...
Got to be in the 20s.
4 more yesterday? Yeah, it was 19 before all of these new signings. So we are at least at 23, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go back through. Was the Hendon Hooker announcement in Jimmy's tweet yesterday?
The Titans, they put it out in their transaction release.
Okay, I missed that email.
They put all 4 of them out.
Yeah, so we are at 23 players new to the Titans roster, new to the Tennessee Titans franchise, not necessarily the coaching staff. Okay, what is this? You have Vols and Vandy. Is this news? This wouldn't be news.
No, there's no news.
Okay, so what is the nature of this subject?
Oh, possibilities. Nate Ament and Tyler Tanner. What will they be doing this time next year?
Next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. So we've gotten away from, how much college basketball have you guys done the last couple days? Any?
Oh, I mean, Monday, obviously, it was very heavy coming off the Elite Eight weekend.
But that's it? Really? I mean, I guess the conversation has really just been about, like, the fallout from the games of Danny Hurley headbutting a ref. Did he headbutt the ref?
Yeah, he spoke on Pardon My Take about it and made it sound like he has a very good relationship with that ref, that's kind of like, that ref also likes to bust his chops. He busts his chops back, and it was kind of like almost an endearing moment. He said he was nuzzling him.
Yeah, it was.
Nuzzling is a crazy word to use there.
It was almost incriminating what he said. He was like, "Oh, I thought he was coming to like chest bump me for making the shot." When have you ever seen a referee chest bump? That would have went over like gravy in the summer, dude.
That would be insane.
If a referee's like, "Oh yeah, nice shot, coach," like what? You guys have that kind of relationship? He'll never work another game you're on.
No, didn't Seth Greenberg say that the ref didn't even that he talked specifically to that ref that Hurley had the interaction with? He went on national television and was saying ref didn't think anything of it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're too tight. Something was going on there. Don't let Ross hear this. Ross is going to be like, conspiracy.
I mean, these coaches do
Ross come kick in the door, be like, I knew it.
Hey, and somebody left the bench that should have been a flagrant.
Yeah.
These coaches do have relationships with these referees, but Marciano in the FNM Bank chat says, and the ref got demoted. He got kicked off the Final Four, but I don't know that was he supposed to be on the Final Four crew?
No
not anymore.
I don't know that he was. Maybe I need to do some digging on it.
So we will obviously talk more about the Final Four as we head into the weekend. But you are what are you doing with this exercise here? Because there's no way that Nate Ament goes back to Tennessee, and yet you are. Are you citing?
You just don't know that.
Are you citing this fantasy column by John Adams in the Knoxville News Sentinel about imagine if Nate Ament returned to Tennessee basketball instead of the NBA? Fantasy.
I love that John Adams is still just doing his thing for the Knoxville News Sentinel.
Just cranking it out.
One of my favorite presidents.
Dude has been around for a minute. Yep, since the
dawn of time.
1700s?
Pyramids of Egypt.
I don't know. With Ament, yes, it would still be a surprise. I will say Nate Ament kind of carries himself like a kid that would come back for a year. Like if there was any profile of a kid from a personality and character standpoint that would come back, make some more in NIL, and then make that transition to the NBA, I could see it being Nate Ament with his relationship with Rick Barnes. And I appreciate the way that he has fully embraced the college experience rather than just use it as a stepping stone, as so many do in his position. But obviously, it would be very surprising to see anybody leave that sort of money that he is projected to receive as a potential lottery pick on the table. But it does hurt because I feel like Nate Ament, it's fun to think about what he can be in a year or two. Which is why he's a projected lottery pick.
He's a lottery pick, for God's sakes. What are you talking about?
But it's just like,
be fun.
He was good this year.
It'd be fun if Anthony Davis came back for another year at Kentucky. I mean, he's not Anthony Davis, but you get what I'm saying.
He was good this year. He took over some games. Obviously, a huge difference maker for Tennessee and a reason why they got to the Elite Eight. But he was doing it through a sprained ankle towards the end of the year. And, just thinking about Nate Ament coming back for another year, continuing to add on weight, and potentially even raising his NBA draft stock further next year is an enticing thought.
Somebody in the chat said, if Nate Ament went back, he'd probably hit the portal.
No.
Go take his talents to Arizona.
But what if there was a trade of sorts?
A trade?
Yes. What if another guy that could probably go to the NBA draft if he wanted to was like, I want to see how the other half lives? And what if Tyler Tanner was like, I want to go to the Vols? Nate Ament and go to Vandy.
We did have a caller earlier this week call in predicting that Tyler Tanner
they just swap
called his shot
would go to Tennessee. No, not saying that Ament would leave or transfer, but somebody did call in calling their shot that I think Tyler Tanner's going to be a Vol next year.
What would be the SEC version of wife swap?
I feel like it would be like a coach situation.
Like
was it Saban going to Alabama? Well, I guess who's got to be swapped in that situation?
Yeah, who would have traded places? Let me do a little digging. I might be able to find something.
Well, Lane Kiffin feels like even though I can't really make it make sense in my head, like it feels like the answer is Lane somehow.
But the other part of this, Lane's just the one that could most crush a reality TV show.
Yeah, for sure.
He would just get it. He would get it. Tyler Tanner is the other piece of this. Some questions about what he's going to do next year, if he's going to test NBA draft waters, if he's going to come back to Vanderbilt. We've already got fake accounts. A fake John Rothstein account the other day putting out Tyler Tanner expected to forego the draft and enter the transfer portal. Significant SEC news. Fake account. It got a lot of run. A lot of folks retweeting it, but very fake account. That's the other piece of this. What does Tyler Tanner's future look like after a breakout season his sophomore year at Vanderbilt? Averaged almost 19 points a game, 3.6 rebounds, over 5 assists per game, shot 48.5% from the floor. He was fantastic for Vanderbilt this year. 6 foot, 173 pounds. I'd be lying if I knew exactly what his NBA prospect situation looks like. I don't know what NBA experts, draft experts, are saying about Tyler Tanner. I know they're saying Nate Ament is likely a top 10-ish pick. But let's see. Let's see what somebody has to say about Tyler Tanner as a draft prospect.
Well, and while you pull that up, just a news item that we talked about briefly yesterday before it was made official, Tyler Lundblade is going to be transferring to the University of Tennessee from Belmont. So as he continues his final year of eligibility, he will take his three-point shooting talents to Rocky Top.
Yes, it matches up with Rick Barnes talking about shooting being the thing that has prevented Tennessee from breaking through. And Tyler Lundblade shoots it well, to say the least. 44% from three in each of the last 2 years. And he's attempted well over 100 threes in each of those 2 years. So, big get right out of the gate in the portal for Tennessee. But you got to figure out a bunch of other stuff, man. You got to figure out what JP Estrella's offers are going to look like. Is it going to be hard to retain JP Estrella, who was critical down the stretch for Tennessee last year, or a guy like Jalen Carey or Amari Evans? I mean, anybody on this roster, it feels like it's up in the air. Troy Henderson, Bishop Boswell, but it was a big get for Tennessee in the portal. So two heavily anticipated decisions coming up. Nate Ament at Tennessee, Tyler Tanner at Vanderbilt.
Did you find something on Tyler Tanner and his draft evaluation?
So offensively, Tyler Tanner, an elite pick-and-roll creator with a fast release on pull-up jumpers, extending beyond the NBA three-point line, known for creating space via step-backs. Defensively, pesky, high-motor defender with great instincts. Some of the concerns, the efficiency dipped in conference play, highlighting potential limitations due to size. So the size seems like the biggest factor with him, which I remember being the case for Kennedy Chandler. When he was coming out, he was a one-and-done point guard, undersized guy at Tennessee. Those limitations affected him even at Tennessee. Kennedy Chandler did just have a breakout performance, by the way. I don't know if you saw 19 points for the Utah Jazz the other day.
I did not. I have not watched much Utah Jazz basketball. I have watched more NBA. Hell, I even watched some baseball this week while I was out in Arizona. Tehran ended up going to watch a Tigers-Diamondbacks game yesterday at their park. I'm sure that's lovely. I think it's Chase Field out there in Arizona. But I did watch a lot more basketball this week than I feel. It's just so nice when it's on in the middle of the afternoon. It's like on at 4:00 out there in Arizona. But no, I did not see Kennedy Chandler's performance. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. We have a couple of NFL news items to get to in the second hour. We will do so.
Oh, but before you do that, some quick local news.
Yes.
Liberty Mutual has been named the title sponsor of the inaugural Music City Kickoff at Nissan Stadium. Did you know this? I didn't know this was happening.
Music City Kickoff?
Yeah, September 6th.
I didn't know that they were doing these like neutral site basketball games where Ohio State and Illinois are playing here at Bridgestone Arena this past year. They just kind of popped up on us. Maybe we should check our email. I don't know.
September 6th, Ole Miss and Louisville will face off at Nissan Stadium in the Liberty Mutual Music City Kickoff, week 1 of the college football season.
I'm sorry, you have thoughts back there?
Oh, did I say that out loud? I meant to say that into your earphone.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, we.
Need to check our email?
Yeah, we is not the question. I think Lucas and I are pretty adept at checking our emails. I have to send it to three. I have to send it to three different ones for you.
Email is a choice at this point. So we've got more news. That's an interesting news item, as a matter of fact. So we'll get a Lane Kiffin-less Ole Miss. Is Jeff Brom getting an extension at Louisville? What's going on there? I feel like that's been in the news the last couple of days. There's some kind of friction over Jeff Brom and his potential asking price.
Yeah, there's been some reporting around that they have been in discussions, but Jeff Brom, what an interesting career path. He's one of those guys that you're like, how has he not landed at a huge spot? And it's been largely with him. I mean, Jeff Brom has coached at Purdue. He's coaching at his alma mater in Louisville, but he's kind of taken that Matt Campbell route that he is one of those guys that's...
No, Matt Campbell's better than him.
Matt Campbell probably a little more so, but I don't know. I feel like Jeff Brom gets overlooked in a lot of these coaching cycles. I also don't know how desperate he is to leave Louisville.
What are you, his agent? You're making the case to Louisville? Be like, hey, yes.
I mean, hell, Jimmy Hyams went on ESPN saying Jeff Brom is going to be the next coach at Tennessee during the coaching search of post-Shiano Sunday. Everybody thought that was happening for a minute.
Anyway, we've got some NFL news items to get to in the second hour coming up next.
11 o'clock. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Down studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans made some moves on Wednesday, signing former Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker, who spent last season with the Panthers and Jets practice squads. The team also announced free agent wide receiver signings, KJ Osborne and Lance McCutcheon, and running back Michael Carter, who played for the Jets under Robert Saleh. In other NFL news, the Raiders are signing quarterback Kirk Cousins. The 37-year-old will join a quarterback room expected to include Fernando Mendoza as the number 1 overall pick. In college basketball news, Tennessee secured a transfer portal commit from Belmont guard Tyler Lundblade, according to On3 Sports. Lundblade has shot 44% from 3 over the last 2 seasons combined. And the Nashville Predators are on the West Coast tonight, taking on the LA Kings in a huge game in the Western Conference wild card race. The Kings hold the second wild card spot. The Preds are 1 point back. Puck drop tonight is at 9:30. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour of the show underway. Coming up in a little more than an hour from now, we got a fun station announcement that we'll make. We'll look forward to that. I think you guys are going to want to be a part of it. If you're fans of the Titans and the NFL draft, it is draft month officially. Rejoice. We are 3 weeks away from getting this thing going, from one of the biggest steps of the offseason, from getting rookies on the field for camp, from OTAs and voluntary work and all the different fun things that means football creeping just a little bit closer. Indiana's Pro Day was yesterday. Fernando Mendoza expected to be the number 1 overall pick. Handful of other players, some that I think Titans fans are interested. What's the level of interest from your average Titans fan in Omar Cooper right now, wide receiver? D'Angelo Pons.
As like a second round.
Yeah, second round, day 2 pick. D'Angelo Pons, who's not the biggest corner in the world, but a very physical player, very dependable player, very smart player. There's a number of different guys coming out of Indiana this year that are going to, I think, make a difference on some rosters.
Name some more.
That's it.
That's all you know?
I know the Landino kid went back, the defensive lineman.
Yep, he's not part of this.
The running back didn't get invited to the combine.
Which one? There are 2.
I don't remember their names.
Another wide receiver, probably a top 100 pick.
Oh, the transfer. What's his name? Surratt.
There you go, Elijah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I just named like 5 Indiana football players. Come on.
Lucas, I would like you to name as many Tennessee Vols from last year's team as possible.
That's That's a completely different exercise.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
The fact that I just named 5 Indiana football players, that's huge.
Okay, Lucas, name all of the Vols that are eligible to be drafted.
He would be able to name only the tight ends that didn't start a game last year.
Why only the tight ends?
No. I mean, like, if you asked him, like, niche things on the Vols roster, like, he could tell you the 3 tight ends that didn't play a snap for Tennessee last year or something like
Jack
that.
Van Doorslayer did. Drop that ball against Oklahoma.
Van Doorslayer. That is a Madden creative player. That's not a real person.
Oh, the turd slinger is out and the door slinger is
Where did
in.
Merklinger end up?
Connecticut.
That's right. He went to UConn to replace that quarterback's going to get drafted.
Joey Fagnano. Yes, correct.
Is that how you say it?
Yes, it is.
Thank God.
Yes, it is. It's better than Diego Fagot, who came out for the Navy a couple years ago.
I think you're good for you for feeling brave there.
Well, I mean,
his name.
I knew what it was, but he's one of those dudes that every time he gets cut or worked out, Ian Rappaport and everybody else is like, oh, this guy worked out. It's like, that guy was a nobody. He didn't get drafted. You only tweeted that so people would go, oh, look at his name. Just like Michael Jordan or Bill Murray, any of those other guys.
What position does Bill Murray play?
I think he's a guard. Worse.
No, that's Michael Jordan.
I think Bill Murray he might be a defensive lineman there. Hold on.
It doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
It's a good exercise.
He is also a guard. So stupid. Why do I have noties on for you goobers?
So you could find out where Schefter fell down the stairs at NFL owners meeting. Don't side-eye me. You're on camera.
I'm side-eyeing the hell out of you.
So anyway, we've moved past the Dan Orlovsky conversation, right? The Ty Simpson thing. Like, we're all just kind of in agreement. Okay, Dan had a moment, and maybe he does feel that way, but the Raiders are taking the best quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, and I don't think Dan ever made the case that the Raiders would draft Ty Simpson number 1 overall.
No, simply that he liked Simpson better as a prospect than Mendoza, which, again, you've seen a lot of different people. And we played some other sound on Fox that I hadn't heard. And not to dig Dan a hole any deeper.
Keep going. Make it weird.
Why do you hate him?
You know why I hate him. Voting for Josh Allen for that Mickey Mouse MVP award, making excuses for him, whining, complaining, bitching about everything. He gets everything he deserves. Stepping out of the back of the end zone for a safety.
Stop it.
Goober.
That's 100 years ago. It can't come up every time he does something you don't agree with.
He also started for the Colts that year that Peyton Manning's neck was broke. Him and Curtis Painter couldn't even get a win put together.
They did against the Titans.
Oh, they got one win put together.
At the end of the year, they almost botched the suck for luck. Curtis Painter, the only collegiate Indiana product, because he played at Purdue, to be booed that viciously at Lucas Oil Stadium. Just brutal. Anyway, so the Orlovsky thing, though, as far as his initial defense on McAfee went really bad, right? We played some of that audio. And then he had another appearance, and I don't remember where it was, but we played the sound on Fox the other day where he's talking about Mendoza and about the different things that he thinks Ty Simpson does at projects to be at a higher level than Mendoza at the next level, and it's a really tough sell. There didn't seem to be a he may feel that way, and he may have felt that way watching tape, but he just didn't articulate his case well enough, right? And it just opened up a huge window for him to get dragged. But did you guys watch any of the pro day yesterday?
No, I didn't end up catching any of it live.
It was on SportsCenter. It was just weird to see, again, still getting used to Indiana football being broadcast on national television.
It's pretty much the last pro day, right? I mean,
one of the last, for sure.
Coming to the end of that cycle.
You guys saw Louis Riddick's comments on Mendoza's pro day and what was different about it from other quarterbacks in the class's pro day, right?
I saw the headline. I did not hear the actual audio.
It wasn't audio. No, it was just the written script.
Okay, no, I haven't. At your convenience.
Yeah, let me find it.
It's worth pulling up because he was doing stuff yesterday, Mendoza, where he was calling out the routes that he wanted the guys at his pro day to run. Like, I guess that's, I've only been to one pro day. It was Vandy 100 years ago. And just out of curiosity, I went. Cam Ward was at Vandy's pro day this year, which I thought was, fun, cool, moment of support.
Dude loves football. Just wants to be at football things.
Somebody told me that they went up, Nick Suss, the Tennessean who's on the Titans beat, said he went up and said, just what's up to Cam, because obviously, you work around him enough on a regular basis. And Cam looked up, saw that it was a Titans beat writer, said, what's up, man? Then took a chair and dragged it out to the middle of the field where nobody would talk to him and sat on his phone for 4 hours.
Sounds like something you do. Louis Riddick tweeted yesterday, never saw a quarterback during his pro day call out each receiver by name and announce what route they would be running before they ran it during the entire workout like Mendoza did. Every route, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. It seems insignificant, but it's not. It was his show. In collaboration with his pass catchers, a certain general manager was paying attention and noticed one that is going to pick him. Everything matters. What I want to know, why are you being so vague? Have you been hanging out with my archenemy? That last sentence sounded so much like I can't even...
Your archenemy?
I can't even remember her name.
Josina?
This last sentence...
She was at owners' meetings, by the way. I told her you said hi.
Oh, well, I'm sure she echoed. This sounds like the most Josina statement you've ever heard. A certain general manager was paying attention and noticed one that is going to pick him.
Yeah.
That makes it seem ambiguous.
Yeah.
That makes it seem like the Raiders Why not take him? Who else? Who the hell was watching him? Why wouldn't you just say them?
Eyeball emoji. Ooh, who could it be?
He wanted to make sure that he wasn't implicated in case the Raiders traded out
That is some world-class hedging by Louis Riddick.
A certain general manager was paying attention and noticed. That could be literally anyone.
I mean, the reality is he's just assuming that we all know, it's the Raiders. Like, Spytek's watching him.
One that is going to pick him. Oh, thank you for the clarification. Now, that makes me think that there are general managers there that watched him that are not going to pick him.
You felt gaslit by Louis Riddick's tweet?
No, it's just funny. Just funny the way things are worded, you know? He could have just been, like, super impressed, but no, the qualifiers at the end about the mysterious general manager that was watching, like Sting from the Raptors. I'm going to pick him. Has a folded up note pocket in his pocket that says Fernando Mendoza no matter what.
You should tweet Louis Riddick your feedback because famously he enjoys dialogue with people on Twitter. Man, that dude has time for those of you who are critics of his and any other talent evaluators' work on social media. He'll provide you some feedback if you want it. But yeah, we'll talk about Kirk Cousins later in the show because there is news that he is going to sign in Vegas. I haven't seen the terms of the deal yet. I'm sure they're out there, at least some initial numbers. Doesn't that just sound exactly, God help me, what Riddick is describing in that tweet? Doesn't it sound like something that Tom Brady would do? Or that's something, a skill or a trait that Tom Brady would value in the person that's going to be the quarterback of the franchise that he is a minority owner, but has a tremendous, I wouldn't say he has a majority say, but he's got a big influence.
Oh, it's all coming together for them. Tom Brady overseeing things, Kirk Cousins signed by the Raiders to help guide Fernando Mendoza as the number 1 overall pick. Like, you can't put a better match collection of dudes that played the quarterback position. Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza, Tom Brady. It just makes sense.
It's funny you make the Tom Brady comparison. Lucas and I were both listening to Todd McShay's latest podcast on the way into work today, and he noted the same thing.
Wait, what?
Robert picked me up. He was my ride.
You still don't have a car?
Yeah, I'm getting a second opinion on the transmission. The thing is done. It's time to.
I love that you're treating the car like a loved one. Like, we're getting a second opinion. I'm not.
I mean,
I get attached.
How long have you had that car?
Since 2019.
Not long enough to need a new transmission. Don't worry, I've heard it all.
Yeah.
I feel bad
The
for
way
Lucas.
he just.
I feel bad for my buddy. He's like, I don't know anything about cars. I keep going places. I just want someone to help me.
I do, man. Do y'all get emotionally attached to cars?
No.
I love my car. I don't want
Buck's
to lose my
named
car.
his. What's your?
You don't name your car?
Yeah, I've named all my cars.
No.
What's your car's name?
Isabella. The last one was Carrie.
Y'all are dumb. No, it wasn't.
It was.
Oh,
so you kick Carrie to the curb? You're Mr. Big?
No. I had.
No, it sounds like you're Mr. Big. You're Mr. Big.
You're Mr. Big.
You're Mr. Big.
No, stop it.
You're Mr. Big.
Stop it. Please stop.
No, I named my car Carrie after Carrie Underwood in high school because I had a huge crush on Carrie Underwood.
Sure.
It was a 2008 Ford Escape. It served me so well until a mechanic that when I got my oil changed, a certain mechanic in a certain small town in Tennessee didn't shut the hood properly, and I didn't check it. So I was flying down the interstate with my little baby Leo. My cat was like 3 weeks old in the front seat. And at some point, whoosh, the hood comes up and smashes my windshield. I'm completely blind.
God.
Windshield is shattered. I'm like swerving all over the road. And ended up totaling the car, and I got a huge insurance payout that allowed me to buy the next car. So it worked out great. But saying goodbye to that car hurt, and saying goodbye to this car is going to hurt.
But getting in that new one, you'll be like, you know what they say, the best way to get over one is to get in a new one.
Sure.
So when you get in this new car, you're going to be like, oh, my God. Oh, Two Rivers Ford really has these things smelling good.
I don't. So I'm for naming the car, but you just put a Roman numeral after it. Like all my cars have been the same name.
No, they all have different vibes and personalities. They all have a different name.
It's a vehicle.
No.
Just you get in it, you put your foot on it, and you make it go.
Nah,
This is a Fred Flintstone
That
kind of thing.
explains why you treat yours the way that you do. It's always got a big ass crack in the windshield.
No, my problem is every time I get my windshield fixed, it gets cracked again, and I'm just not getting my windshield fixed again. So the crack is like a cosmetic. It's the what does Bobby say in Hank Hill? It's got wabi sabi. It's got wabi sabi. I like it. It's got character. And I do have a car wash membership now. So my
welcome to the 1%,
oh, it's
baby.
so clean.
I went this morning.
On the outside.
Yeah, though the inside of your car is.
I need to get Slay's got to detail it. My car is looking rough on it.
Chris is the man. Lucas and I have both used it's spotless cleaning solutions. They do a great job.
They are incredible.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, Slay gets his done in the parking lot out here. This is next level. Maybe we should do that. Anyway, coming up next, we are going to talk about the quarterback battle going on Rocky Top as spring football continues. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. So as we continue to keep an eye on things football adjacent, NFL draft 3 weeks away, worth checking in on the latest with the Tennessee quarterback battle. What is the latest information on how reps are being shared at this point in time between the 5-star quarterback and the returner under Josh Heupel, who are trying to find a starting role for the Vols next year?
Well, it's a wide open battle between McIntyre and Brandon. We will probably need to have somebody on here in the next few days that can fill us in on what those first couple of scrimmages have looked like. But the thing that I keep taking away from this battle, just reading about it, and every day you read George McIntyre, hasn't thrown a touchdown yet in spring practice, or Faison Brandon had a long touchdown pass but threw a pick six or whatever. This thing is so wide open. I think any preconceived notions that I or any Tennessee fan may have had about who is the quote-unquote favorite in this battle, I'm starting to think, obviously not being there and watching practices and talking to coaches and all these things, but I'm starting to think that there is no favorite, or there shouldn't be a favorite. And sure, George McIntyre has that perceived advantage of having been in the system for a year, but I feel like this is a situation that Tennessee is going to roll with the guy that provides the highest ceiling, because theoretically the person that wins this job is your quarterback in 2026 and 2027. But it's a unique scenario. This has not happened yet in the Heupel era. A true open competition. Hendon Hooker was already in place when Heupel took the job. After spring ball, he went out and got Joe Milton. And there was a competition, but Milton was the guy that the coaching staff went out and got. He was the favorite the whole way, and he ends up starting. And then he goes down, Hooker comes in, the rest is history there, and then Hooker handed the keys back to Joe, and then Joe handed the keys to Nico, and there was this succession plan. And then the Nico stuff blows up. They have to go get Aguilar. And sure, there was a competition there, but Aguilar was always the favorite, came in at a certain price point. So this is the first time that truly you've got two guys, have never started a game, duel it out, and see who gives us the best chance to win.
Well, then is there anything to be made about Ryan Staub in the middle of all this, the transfer?
I think Ryan Staub is just a third scholarship body there. Yeah, I am not factoring Ryan Staub into the starting quarterback competition. There's just too much on the line here, right? Like, imagine Ryan Staub. Like, sure, if he gives you the best chance to win in some sort of scenario, I guess maybe that could become a conversation, but it's hard to see that writing on the wall when you've got an in-state kid in George McIntyre that was highly recruited, that's been developing in the system, and a 5-star kid in Faison Brandon. Like, the factor of the loser of this job leaving absolutely is there. So to me, Ryan Staub is just there in that quarterback room. He's depth. He's a third scholarship body. And this is between Faison Brandon and George McIntyre. I just have no idea who's going to come out on top. I wanted to kind of give the nod to McIntyre having been in the system, but at this point, I don't know that any Tennessee fan should be doing that.
Some people were reading into Greg McElroy's comments on it. Did you see this?
No.
McElroy said, and again, this is like kind of a different version of the conversation we had with Borgonzi and Sala about what they said and how much to read into it. So take this with a grain of salt. This is from Greg McElroy on his show. Quote, "The rep order in practice is maybe telling us something, even if Heupel's not willing to. In the first practices, it was McIntyre first, then Brandon second, Staub third, so that's kind of significant." It's Greg McElroy. You read into it however much you want to. I think that a coaching staff would very quickly tell you somebody's got to go first.
Right. Somebody has to. And the more tenured guy, I suppose.
Now, McElroy knows that.
Yeah. I'm not reading anything into anything in spring ball. Like, I think this thing is going to wage on into fall camp. Heupel has repeatedly said nobody's going to be announced after spring practice. Tennessee's spring game will not be televised again. I believe there will be Vol Network coverage again, like there was last year. But it also sets up to where you don't have the opportunity to watch and make any proclamations of your own. I don't know that we're going to have any buzz leaning one way or another until, I don't know, a couple weeks into fall camp. I really don't.
This may not be a fair question for you, but what does George McIntyre do other than have a year in the system? Or time in the system that Faison Brandon does not.
What do you mean? What does he do?
Like as a player, what makes him a different kind of player than Faison Brandon? That may not be a fair question. I don't know if you know the answer to that.
Yeah, I'd rather hear from somebody that's been around watching those guys. Like we could sit here and read their 24/7 or on 3 sports
sure.
like
I just
profiles,
didn't know if you had some kind of idea. Like this is not. I don't get in the weeds on recruiting, obviously, this way, but I didn't know if you were aware of something that was a significant or a difference between the two players that was easy to talk about.
No, I would be lying if I knew the nuances of the differences of their game. Now, I've seen George McIntyre play football. I've called his games with Brentwood Academy. He's obviously incredibly tall.
Feels like a fine.
He has a big arm. He can make every throw. Sneaky athletic when he moves around in the pocket. Obviously, the thing with him is packing on weight. Him and Derek Owings, the new performance coach that Tennessee scooped from Indiana, I imagine are already very well acquainted. And McIntyre was able to shine some light on the progress he has made in that regard at the beginning of spring ball. But this thing is it's fascinating to me how Josh Heupel and his staff handle this, because it's a unique scenario at the most important position going into 2026. We have no proof of concept of this, of two guys that have never started a college football game in their lives battling it out to be Tennessee starting quarterback under Josh Heupel. They were both brought in by the coaching staff, right? They both have their own skill sets. Both were highly recruited. It's going to be really interesting to see at what point we start to get a feel for who may be in the lead.
They didn't get into a bidding war with LSU over Sam Leavitt, and that's fine.
I mean, they were in the bidding, but you are right in that they didn't. He
didn't want to do y'all's bidding.
Yeah, they were not willing to go as far as LSU was willing to go.
It's not a bad joke, but I don't think it's a good one.
Like how most of mine go.
Don't shrug your shoulders at me.
I think Tennessee tried to get in the running and spending big money for a very select few guys. Like, okay, we will try to go get Sam Leavitt, even if it means spending $4 to $5 million. We'll try to get Ty Simpson to come back, even if it means spending $5 million on a quarterback. But it kind of stopped there, right? Brendan Sorsby was the other one that ends up at Texas Tech. The line was kind of drawn after that. Like Bo Pribula, Tennessee said, no, we're good there. We'll swing for one of these three guys. If that doesn't work, we like what we have in-house, and we can allocate those resources elsewhere on the roster. The question is, how ready will they be in a kind of a pressure year for Josh Heupel in 2026 with a schedule that's not nearly as favorable? The pieces around them, I think, will put the quarterback in a position to succeed. Like Tennessee should have a pretty good offensive line this year. Davis Sanders taking another step. He switches over to the left side, the 5-star rising sophomore. You went out and got your right tackle from LSU. You've got returning players on the interior. You've got some depth there. The wide receiver core outside of Chris Brazzell comes back, but you bring in Tristan Keys, the 5-star freshman, some young guys that were in the wings last year, and Kelsey Pope has done a nice job, has built a nice resume in recruiting and developing wide receivers as the wide receivers coach at Tennessee. By the way, locally, speaking of Brentwood Academy, Tennessee grabbed a commitment from Keyshawn Bowman, the 4-star receiver out of Brentwood Academy, who was previously committed to Oregon. And this dude, watching this dude is fun. I would encourage anybody that gets a chance to watch Brentwood Academy play this year, A, because they're going to be really good, and B, because Keyshawn Bowman can jump out of a high school football stadium. But the pieces, I think, will be in place. You returned some at the running back position. You went out and brought in a transfer from Tulane, but there's such a dichotomy between these two sides of the ball where offensively it's largely quote-unquote homegrown talent, like guys that you recruited out of high school. Whereas defensively, there's a whole bunch of transfers mixed in with some of the Arion Carters and Jeremiah T-Landers that you were able to recruit out of high school. But it's pretty different. I mean, it's kind of night and day in terms of the acquisition on both sides of the ball. So offensively, I do think whoever wins the job will be set up for success, will not be drowning because of what's around them. But they will be facing a tougher slate for sure in terms of who they have to play this year and where they have to go.
So I'll ask this in a two-parter. What is your preference, and what do you think is going to happen?
Oh, man. It's so hard to say what my preference is. I think a lot of Tennessee fans' preference is Faison Brandon because he is the flashier of the two prospects in terms of what his billing was coming out of high school. number 1, number 2 quarterback in the country, depending on what service you're looking at. So, but that's looking at it with kind of a blind eye, right? That's not looking at it through the context of what's happening on the field there. Like I said, we'll get somebody that has actually seen this in person to give us some better perspective. But I think for the fan base, Faison Brandon is the more intriguing because that was the higher rated prospect. And there is an assumption in this day and age, I think in any program, that the person that loses this job is probably gone. You just don't see guys wait around.
And I don't think that's an unfair assumption, but it's not guaranteed to happen. I guess it's just kind of like, what's the worst case scenario here? What I would ask those Vols fans that Robert's saying, like, what's your preferred situation, and your response for a good portion of the fan base is the 5-star. Man, a first-time starter in the SEC or a first-year starter in the SEC, just a first-year starter generally.
Yeah, which is going to happen either way.
In college football. It would be kind of crazy if Tennessee and Vandy were basically doing the same thing at quarterback.
Yeah, with Faison.
I know they're different players, but rolling 2 5-star freshmen out there and trying to, it would be a fun science experiment. I know that's not what the college football season is about, but it would be curious.
Weren't there, and maybe my math is wrong, I think there were only 4 true freshmen that started a number of meaningful games in college football at quarterback last year. Maryland, NC State, BYU, Tulane. Right?
True freshman?
True freshman. So it was not NC State. NC State's guy is no. He was a true freshman.
He's a freshman.
I was thinking about it after recruiting. I was like, okay, he's actually a sophomore now. But because Bear Bachmeier, that's the guy that had to leave BYU and go to Tulane because of the sexual misconduct or whatever. And they ended up starting another Jacob. Who did BYU? Anyway, but they were all They were Redslap.
Michigan.
Oh, Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, so it was 5.
5-star. Yep.
So only 5 colleges, but then look where all of those schools finished.
For what it's worth, Google AI is saying also Cal. I don't know that.
But the point is, it's far and few between.
Yeah.
But BYU, Tulane, both were flirting with postseason. I can't. My brain is such a fog right now. I can't even remember if they made it. But
no, BYU fell short. Tulane did.
Right.
Tulane did. But yeah, Bear Bachmeier is a true freshman. Took them to the conference championship game and fell just short of the playoff.
So NC State didn't. They were kind of middling, and they've always been middling. But like exceptional performance from their freshmen, and Maryland, it is what it is. But so half of them, one of them did make the college playoffs. Half of them almost made the college playoffs. So you've got a decent run there. If you were going to start one, like all of the results from last year's true freshmen weren't completely awful.
The distinguished gentleman on the F&M Bank chat, where you can hang out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, says they should start Brandon. If they don't, he gone. Downtown Funky Stuff Malone says Brandon 100% has the higher ceiling.
Please pull that.
So it's rare. Tennessee hasn't had that many 5-star quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's Nico. We saw how that ended. It's Faison Brandon. You go back to Casey Clausen before that. So I do think, again, not being boots on the ground, I feel like George McIntyre, if he's going to win this job, is going to have to win it by a large margin. Like he's going to have to be the clear-cut better option. If it's close, if it's kind of a toss-up and nobody's really separating, I'd probably look towards Faison Brandon, especially if he's getting the offense down, which they were able to do with Joey Aguilar in a matter of a few months, right? Like, maybe we shouldn't put as much stock in the fact that McIntyre's been in the offense for a year. And I know the offense has evolved since 2021, but Joe Milton arrived after spring practice and quickly got the starting job after only a few months learning the offense. Joey Aguilar arrived after spring practice last year and quickly took in the offense. And that's a credit to him. But if Faison Brandon's able to do that, then I think McIntyre would have to really separate to get that job and risk losing Brandon with the resources that you put into going to get him out of North Carolina.
615-737-1045 is how you chime in if you want to weigh in on the Vols quarterback situation, or, as Lucas mentioned, reading funny names or funky names in the chat. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you can live stream the show as well and leave your commentary about the Vols.
By the way, this does make it more frustrating that we didn't see George McIntyre hardly at all last year. Like, it brings back the question, why was Jake Merklinger going into games as the 2 when Tennessee was blowing out UAB or whoever before McIntyre, when the writing was on the wall, kind of the worst kept secret that Merklinger was going to transfer out?
And they never, I'm sure he never answered a question in a straightforward fashion about that. Right?
It's just perplexing. And it's been something with this coaching staff for a while. But yeah, that still doesn't make sense to me.
Do you think that they were worried that if he does come in there and reserve action or plays really well in the bowl game, then he would have more suitors in the transfer portal? Like, do you think they were trying to prevent that? And then they would have to recruit a whole nother quarterback room. And it's like, oh, by the way, we don't even.
Such an exhausting game to have to play in college football.
Yeah, that's the game.
I know.
Like, but then if he ends up leaving, then you would have to recruit another veteran who wasn't really going to win. That you're trying to put Faze on a spot where he can win a quarterback battle. Like,
or you get forced to have to overpay for Sam Levitt and outbid LSU in that situation.
Yeah, coaching college football does not look fun.
Oh, God. Coming up next, we'll keep it with the quarterback discussion. Flaws that could affect the top draft prospects at quarterback heading into their pro future. We'll get into that on Buck Rising's 104.5 The Zone. Nothing worse than performance issues if you're dealing with those or ED. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you like they've helped so many other guys over the course of the last decade at any number of their Middle Tennessee locations. If you're dealing with these problems, your relationships, your confidence, even maybe your career have already been affected. Online folks promise convenience and discretion. Their treatments, though, they can be generic, some even unsafe. No more excuses. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is the state's first men's health-focused urology practice with multiple urologists and providers focused solely on male performance. No unproven snake oil or peptides without solid research. Since 2014, they've pioneered men's health in Tennessee and have been testing and growing to make sure you get the best care and the safest, most effective treatments. Call them today at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 right now, or book online in under 30 seconds at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
This is a different court, Blair.
Same result, Slay.
Oh, okay, Blair. See, that's Tyler Tanner. See, Tyler Tanner's in the house now.
Let's see what you got. Jerry's out, Blair.
Blair, come on. Okay, Blair, just come sit down. Come on, Blair, stop. You're going to get hurt. Blair, get off the court. That's enough.
What's the verdict, Blair? The courtroom is where I play ball.
Boy, Durham, injury law. And that ain't got no roof.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Basketball action this weekend. Be sure to fuel your watch parties by ordering some Hattie B's for pickup or delivery from any of their Middle Tennessee locations. The Hattie B's app, very, very generous once you start stacking those rewards, ordering maybe some buckets of jumbo wings. Or for the draft coming up, we are at 21 days. 3 weeks from today, the first round of the NFL draft will begin in Pittsburgh, with Fernando Mendoza's name likely being called with the number 1 overall pick. We have been talking a lot about Fernando Mendoza as a shoo-in there at number 1 overall, but I feel like we have not really discussed the knocks on Fernando Mendoza. I feel like we haven't discussed the fact that Fernando Mendoza is not this can't-miss, slam dunk, number 1 prospect at quarterback the way Caleb Williams was talked about or Trevor Lawrence was talked about. He's just kind of been over here like, all right, yep, that's Fernando Mendoza. He's going to be a Raider, and the draft starts at 2.
That's a good question. What is the biggest flaw in Fernando Mendoza's game? I mean, if I'm a coaching staff getting him ready for the next level, the thing that immediately comes to mind when you watch him is he takes a lot of hits. He gets absolutely peppered back there, and not just that Miami game. I mean, the Ohio State, the Miami game, there were huge hits that he took that he battled through, and that's fine. That's indicative of his toughness and his drive that he wants to be on the field, that he's going to be available. That's a legitimate trait to have, but he's also got to find a way to take less contact at the next level. And it's not like a situation with Cam, for example, just to go off last year's number 1 overall pick, where Cam's need or instinct in how he tries to extend a play was never going to work as well for him at this level as it did at the collegiate level. Not to say that he can't do it on occasion, but we saw him a couple of times, especially early on, what he tried to do when he extended the play, run out of the back of the pocket. And he's not fast enough to be able to outrun the kind of athletes that are chasing him down now on NFL defensive fronts. Nick Benito, Jared Verse, what other just hellish defenses did they play in the first couple of weeks of their season? The Texans, right? It's just not a viable way to exist. So it's not like Mendoza is extending plays that way, which could lead him to take contact. He just kind of gets cracked. And the other player but it happened in different ways. You remember some of the hits that Jaden Daniels used to take at LSU, where he just looked like he would implode.
I remember us talking about that in the draft, where it's like, oh yeah, and he's making a nice run. Oh my God, he's been demolished.
Like, did you guys ever have
911? Oh, he's okay. Oh, look at him. He's jogging back to the huddle.
Have those toys as a kid where like you could extend their limbs, like there's it's a stick figure or a
Stretch Armstrong?
Maybe that kind of thing. Not like Gumby type of thing, but they were like action figures that had like string, retractable string that you could like extend the limbs and stuff like that. I'm doing a bad job describing this.
Oh, but then you can bring it back in, like reel it back in. Yeah. I get you.
Anyway, like he would look like that. Like his limbs would just go flying everywhere. And maybe, it's like what they say when you have a bad fall, right? Just stay loose so your body absorbs the contact differently. This looked like violent.
Like Kermit the Frog arms. Like, when Kermit gets
waving. So Mendoza just gets smoked. And he's not immobile, but he's not the best athlete, right? Especially not at the NFL level. So for that, I mean, he's just going to have to get into a timing rhythm offense that allows him to get rid of the ball in as short of order as humanly possible while still executing the play, because he does have a tendency to take contact, too much contact.
And that's the downside to having a large, statured quarterback. Like Big Ben, sure, he's a big guy. He can take hits. He has a big arm. But the downside was he wasn't as mobile. He was able to be mobile because he broke a lot of tackles. But you know who else in the NFL is like this, that takes a ton of hits through their own volition because they're staying in there trying to wait for something to open up? Is Joe Burrow.
I was going to say Burrow, yeah.
Joe Burrow takes so many of these hits where it's like, What is he's waiting. And I think it was his sophomore or junior year. I hate that I do that. Like
With NFL?
Yeah, but
I know.
I can't help it. He talked about being okay taking sacks on first and second down because he's like, I can get those back. I can get those yards back. It doesn't necessarily mean that our drive is over. He's like, where I don't want to take sacks is on third down because I don't get another shot at it. But if I get dinged for a 4-yard loss on first down, it's not the end of the world. Yeah. He's okay taking those sacks. I think that Mendoza's going to have that same kind of mindset where because on that article that we're discussing, it notes that the reason he would succeed is recovering from mistakes. So if he's like the character in Dragon Ball Z that as you fight him, he learns your moves and your skills, and he's slowly learning how to dissect the defense, he's going to have to take those hits just to learn anyway. And he's on a great offensive line if he likes getting hit.
Well, NFL.com's NFL comparison for Fernando Mendoza is indeed Joe Burrow. Lance Zierlein writing his profile on NFL.com. The strengths that we've talked about, prototype frame, makeup, leadership traits, layers, touch throws into tight downfield windows with ease, bottom-up mechanics, foundation for his consistency and repeatable delivery, ball placement steady when he digs in for more velocity. Weaknesses. It says he benefited from heavy RPO usage and receivers who were very good at winning contested catches. Shout out our guy from Franklin, Charlie Becker, right? Charlie Becker. Won't harm defenses all that often with throws when he has to extend the play. Below average pocket mobility to climb, slide, and reset launch point. Has a habit of looking for a side door exit when options are limited. Unable to escape pressure once it's in the pocket. Average arm talent to make off-platform throws and rip window throws. Double A gap blitzes can speed him up into misfires, and he played stubbornly as a decision maker against Purdue. Those are all the weaknesses NFL.com lists for the number one pick.
All right. Of the last, I don't know why the sample size is 7, but it is. Maybe going back to 2020, that's probably why. Of the last 7 number one overall picks at quarterback, who do you think has the worst sack to pressure ratio?
Oh, Cam, far and away.
It is Cam by a mile, 8.9%. And that's in the NFL. Obviously, we don't have Mendoza's yet. Mendoza's is second worst as a college player. For Caleb Williams, it's 6.6. For Joe Burrow, 7.1. For Bryce Young, 7.3. For Kyler Murray, 5.8. For Trevor Lawrence, 5.2.
Caleb Williams was pretty bad, too. What was his?
6.6.
Yeah, a little higher.
So, so it would go in the NFL, Cam, Bryce Young, Burrow, Caleb Williams, Kyler, Trevor Lawrence. And Mendoza's as a collegiate prospect. He takes a lot more contact than any of those dudes did as college players. And again, they're not the same player, right? There's drastic differences between the skill set of Trevor Lawrence and Kyler Murray, even Bryce Young and Kyler Murray.
And that's kind of why it's a match made in heaven with Clint Kubiak. Like, he kind of marries his father's, like, play action, wide zone run game, like run heavy offense. So they're going to limit the opportunities defenses get to hit him. And if they think they're going to hit him, he's going to pull it and run a bootleg. Yeah. So it kind of works to
and
his skill set.
He's good enough. He's good enough to be able to boot it like that.
Right. You don't have to be a next level athlete to run a bootleg. Like, Joe Flacco's best throws were on play action bootleg.
They did it how many years with Schaub? Like, Schaub was very successful. I know,
led the league in passing yards one year doing that.
Dude, nobody loved a naked boot more than Peyton Manning.
And Rex Ryan. Probably enjoys a couple naked boots.
That was good. It's very good.
Yeah, we got the joke.
Very
likes
good.
feet.
No, you're just mad because it was good. That's great.
No, I'm mad because he felt the need to go back and just explain it. It's like, yeah, it's feet.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Be slobbering on them toes.
Yeah.
Let me floss that little pinky toe for you, honey. I hope he's in town and just happened to be like,
he lives here. Doesn't he live here?
Yes.
Yeah, so Peyton Manning loved naked bootleg.
The amount of people that I forget, live in the city of Nashville and may or may not just turn on sports talk radio. Like, the idea that we've talked about this, that professional broadcaster for all time, Jim Nantz, lives in this city and may occasionally have the radio on at a time when we are doing the most unprofessional of all broadcasts.
Hey, Jim.
Mama. How many more? Do we have any more sophomore?
You tell me.
I think that's all.
They're all you. All right. Let's talk about Kirk Cousins going to Vegas to help shepherd the young top pick at quarterback, and also a fun station announcement at 12:20 today. Stick around. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans made some moves on Wednesday, signing former Tennessee QB Hendon Hooker, who spent last season with the Panthers in Jets practice squads, 2 free agent wide receiver signings in KJ Osborne and Lance McCutcheon, and former Jets running back Michael Carter. In other NFL news, the Raiders are signing QB Kirk Cousins. The 37-year-old will join a QB room that's expected to include Fernando Mendoza as the number 1 overall pick. College basketball, Tennessee secured a transfer portal commit from Belmont guard Tyler Lundblade right out of Nashville, according to On3 Sports. Lundblade has shot 44% from 3 over the last 2 seasons combined. And the Nashville Predators are on the West Coast tonight, taking on the LA Kings in a huge game in the Western Conference wildcard race. The Kings currently hold the second wildcard spot. The Preds 1 point back. Puck drop tonight is at 9:30. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So at the league meetings, the NFL owners' meetings that concluded earlier this week, you had Clint Kubiak making the rounds and said he would prefer to not have the number 1 overall pick at quarterback, or at the very least a rookie quarterback. Watch and learn from a vet. So the vet that's going to be the person to help guide Fernando Mendoza through his career is going to be Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins agreed to terms, or it was reported that Kirk Cousins agreed to terms via his agent, Mike McCartney, not Mike McCarthy, that he's signing with the Raiders. So Kirk Cousins, 37 years old. He got cut by the Falcons last month. He was there for 2 seasons. They paid him the same year that they drafted Michael Penix 8th overall. It was very confusing and shocking to no one. Didn't work. Could have worked. There was some logic and reason there. Just didn't go in their favor. Now, Kirk Cousins, I think, is going to be a huge benefit to Fernando Mendoza. Do you think the Titans erred in not doing this for Cam? I'm not saying Brandon Allen's like a bad influence or something, anything like that, and Levis obviously wasn't around. But is there any logic to supporting Cam Ward with a better veteran backup? It's revisionist history. It doesn't matter now, whatever. They've brought in Mitch Trubisky. They've got Hendon Hooker now coming in here. Hendon Hooker's 4th season, going to be his 4th season?
Same draft class as Levis. Yeah.
So, 2023. And then, who am I forgetting? Who's the 4th quarterback?
In that class?
Levis,
Stroud.
Trubisky. No, I'm saying Levis, Trubisky, Hooker, and Cam. So those are the 4 quarterbacks in the Titans roster. Could Cam Ward have benefited that much? I mean, it was always going to be hard last year. I don't know. But I love the idea that Kirk Cousins is going to be the one to help Fernando Mendoza. I do think that goes a long way. I don't know how much Brandon Allen could have done for Cam last year, you know?
I feel like a Joe Flacco or someone else could have been like an extra coach.
For him last year?
In that moment, you're like, not only do you have a head coach who's an interim, he's being spread extra thin because he was an offensive assistant. Like, what was his title before being named interim head coach?
Mike McCoy, like senior offensive assistant.
Right. So now he's having to go in and be the game planning head coach. He doesn't have time to, he's worried about the full team.
He went from basically like watching practice and taking notes
to leading the whole shebang.
Yeah.
So,
and he'd done it. But
I think that an actual veteran who had been there, done that would have made a huge difference. But I'm a layman. What do I know?
Now, Kirk Cousins is not making backup quarterback to come in and mentor or draft pick money. Kirk Cousins is making 37-year-old starter money, signing a 5-year, $172 million deal with the Raiders. That is, in reality,
he's going to start, though.
To Schefter, it seems that way. A 1-year, fully guaranteed $20 million deal that also contains a club option for 2 years at $80 million. Schefter writes, the Falcons will pay Cousins $8.7 million this season, the Raiders another $1.3 million, and the Raiders have also agreed to pay their new quarterback a fully guaranteed $10 million roster bonus on the 3rd day of the 2027 new league year. Schefter writes, it'll be the 11th straight NFL season in which Kirk Cousins' contract is fully guaranteed. That is
He's a mercenary, man. I love him. Or I love the way that he negotiates.
that is starter money. I mean, that is start out of the gate money.
And just to play devil's advocate, I feel like the Raiders had to pay him this much money so he didn't go to the Rams or another suitor. Like, on the one side of the coin, I agree with you. You don't pay somebody that much money if you don't expect them to start. But we do know the Raiders had to spend a boatload of cash this offseason to become compliant for the 3-year period in which money was spent. So I could see that, but then again, they had to spend something like $186 million in cash, not salary cap money, to be compliant. So I think they just overspent to get a guy who's going to be a good fit for Mendoza.
And that's fine.
Totally fine.
That's
you
so
had
fine.
to spend it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that not to say that you had to go that far above market value on center, for example, but they had so much cash that they had to burn through to get compliant with the salary cap floor. So we can't go back and redo things that went wrong from Cam Ward's first year, but just kind of thinking and learning from mistakes that were made along the way around him to better support him. Now Mitch Trubisky comes in to be that role. Mitch has played a lot of games, started a lot of games, had success in moments in his career. Now he's been mostly a backup in the last couple of years, so that will pay dividends, I think, for Cam Ward in the long term. Plus, there is system knowledge, which Jael on YouTube points out, when the coaching staff and when the front office signed Brandon Allen last year, system familiarity with Brandon Allen and Brian Callahan was the thing that was cited. And I guess, I mean, it's easy to say, could they have gotten somebody better at that than Brandon Allen? I don't know how many quarterbacks were available last year that had system familiarity with Brian Callahan. For all the good it did him, but still, I do understand the logic, even if the player was... You just couldn't take him, couldn't take Brandon Allen, the person, seriously. But as a player, that's not a starting quarterback, even for a couple of games. I mean, you saw how badly that went when he had to go in there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I feel like Mitch Trubisky, at the very least, you can say, okay, that's a guy that can get you by for a couple of games.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, he backed up Josh Allen. I don't know how much that's worth, but you watch someone else who is a successful starter in the NFL prepare, you may be able to take things that you learned from watching him to go teach Cam Ward. Like, he's been in rooms with other good quarterbacks. But what I'm more concerned with, how do you guys feel about I think the Raiders are going to have an image problem moving forward, because these are not your daddy's Raiders. This is not the black hole. This is not
Antonio Brown.
This is not Antonio Brown or any of the other headhunters of yesteryear.
They still have Max Crosby. Relax.
This is the Las Vegas Silly Nannies. At starting quarterback, Fernando Mendoza will be throwing the ball. To whom, you ask? Brock Bowers, exceptional tight end, and also Jack Besh, large slot receiver drafted in the second round, and our running back extraordinaire, Ashton Genty, will be back in uniform again for the Las Vegas Silly Nannies next year.
That was very good.
And we've also added the head honcho, the Condor, Max Crosby, will be back in uniform and extremely healthy. He shall be on the field for all of the snaps. He shan't miss a practice, and he shan't be hurt, because we are Las Vegas. We are silly, and we love the nanny.
I feel like Max Crosby is the one outlier that he is your grandpa's Raiders.
That's what you were digging through the YouTube channels for today when you said you needed some classical music?
You think I listen to Luigi Bancelli all the time?
There's no way you said that right.
You should hear
I
the
know
early
clue.
stuff.
I knew the first name.
You should hear the early stuff.
The Las Vegas Silly Nannies.
I mean, like, they do just have a bunch of soft dudes.
Just some goobers.
Well, I mean, are they soft or do they just look soft?
They just look soft.
No, Max Crosby feels like he could be an OG Raider.
No, for sure. But I'm saying, like, Mendoza gives off golden retriever.
He's silly. He's just silly.
He as a personality type, not even as a personality type, he's just got some quirks to him, right? I don't think that his personality is silly. I think that the way that he comes off, his presentation.
He's a silly guy.
Okay, silly goose.
You just stop that.
Silly goose.
Yeah, he's a silly
I
goose.
want to talk about how great my team was today. That was so much fun. I done playing with my friends. He's just a goober.
He is. He's the
we all know
silliest.
a guy like that.
The silliest goose we've had in quite some time in the NFL draft.
But he's a tough mother. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like
Oh,
he's out there banging heads with
he'll stick
Reuben
his neck
Bain
out.
and
Silly geese can be tough as well.
Yeah, geese are tough,
geese
man.
are mean.
Yeah.
Geese are mean.
You don't want to go bother a goose. You don't want to step onto its territory.
What are you nodding your head in disapproval at?
That's my favorite bird to hunt.
Dude.
Yeah, because they're mean.
I love hunting geese, man. Well, they taste terrible. They're just greasy.
You just like to hunt them out of spite.
Pretty much. Well, my dad has certain degradation permits in North Carolina where geese will get on football fields.
Sounds like something you should have perpetually, a degradation permit.
My body is my degradation permit. Like where geese will just get on football fields, eat the grass, poop all over the place, ruin a pond, and you can get a degradation permit to allow hunters to hunt there. So my dad will go hunt geese when they're in town or whatever. But my favorite part is when they're on their way down and they hit that ground. All the air that's left in that goose just,
Oh, no.
That's how you know you got them.
Tyler says Mendoza is a chicken tenders at a restaurant type of guy. I would agree with that, but he does have a Cuban background, so I feel like he knows
there's too much flavor in that family for him to be a chicken tenders guy.
Well, okay. By the way, a Cuban is just a ham and Swiss sandwich. So
Whoa!
Don't besmirch Cuban food.
Whoa!
Come on, dude.
We got to take you to a good Cuban
ham and
joint.
Swiss. Oh,
We did.
No,
Cuban.
don't do this. Don't do this,
Like,
Bert.
okay, ham and Swiss is
Don't do
really
this.
living on the edge. Throw a pickle on there, guys.
Don't do this.
Come on, act like he's super cultured.
Don't do this. You don't know.
Oh, well, you gonna have me eat some plantains? Those tasted like cardboard, dude.
Okay, the plantains were not a good defense.
Those particular plantains weren't the best.
Oh, because you said they were delicious when we were eating them.
I enjoyed them.
When I ordered food from that Cuban spot, you were delighted.
The sandwich was great. I'm just saying a Cuban sandwich is not that guy's cultured. You order a Cuban.
never order a Cuban sandwich at a Cuban place.
Oh, I do. I love Cuban sandwiches.
The steak, the rice and beans, all of it. All of it. The plantains, the yucca. That's my jam. The onions. Oh, my God.
The onion. That's what really got him going.
He
the
could do an
onions.
ASMR food show.
Who's the silliest goose in NFL draft history? Like, Fernando Mendoza.
I think Keon Coleman is. That's a good question, though.
He's
Keon
funny.
Coleman is pretty silly. Russell Wilson, he wasn't in NFL draft history. Russell Wilson wasn't goofy back then.
No, he was.
Yeah, he was pretty normal, I feel like. We didn't start making fun of Russ until way later.
Big. Well, that's
After
because
Denver.
the Mr. No, I mean he was starting to get Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah,
towards
Mr.
the end of
Unlimited was-
Was that
Seattle.
when he was still in
He was-
Seattle?
yeah,
He
that was
still in
Seattle.
It was towards the end for
Danger
sure.
Russ, the Subway commercial.
Subway.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Subway commercials were
So weird.
God
But
silliest
not
goose.
not a silly goose draft prospect. I'll tell you who's a joker. You remember Ja'Kai Polite? This
The
Florida edge rusher.
Oh, yeah, okay.
This was my first combine. It'll be burned in my brain
Yeah, we talk about this all the time.
until the end of time. It's just one of the most ridiculous combine podium availabilities I've ever seen in my life.
What'd he do?
He was just the way that he was very butthurt about the Rams. He said they're only showing me my bad plays. They're not showing me my good plays.
Yeah.
Was it?
That was the first time I met Trevor Sikkema. I looked over at Trevor and was like, is this guy for real?
He flamed out of the league pretty quick.
No, I think it was like instantly. Wasn't he a third-round pick and then he got cut by
He got cut
initial
by the
rosters?
team that drafted him. I think the Jets took him
It was
because,
the
of
Jets.
Of course the Jets took him.
the Jets took him. And then he ended up, did he end up in the NFC?
No, he literally,
Dude, I don't think he played after. Okay,
third round pick, he was waived by the end of August.
Okay, oddly enough, he ended up playing for the Rams
That's right.
in 2020.
That's great.
He had one sack.
Oh, my goodness. Most recently with the Edmonton Elks.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was an unserious person, Ja'Kai Polite.
But not a silly goose.
That was kind of silly.
It was a silly.
He
It was a
just
silly
dumb.
thing.
That was just dumb.
What do you
There's a
think? What do you
difference.
think Google AI will say to this?
Who's the silliest goose among
in
NFL draft
NFL
prospects?
history?
Who just had a ridiculous podium?
Oh, Tony Saragusa. Before I type it in, Tony
Well,
Saragusa
yes.
would
Well,
be the silliest goose.
R.I.P. Goose.
But do you remember the Hard Knocks where he filled the
Yeah.
he was pranking everybody? He would probably be the. That's exactly what it says. Yes.
Myles Garrett was low-key a little silly. He came out. It's like, yeah, I love dinosaurs. Like the whole thing.
Is that silly?
Big, goofy smile.
Well, they weren't accusing him of being silly. They were accusing him of being sassy, which apparently means something different these days.
You remember in Step Brothers when he's trying to match up with Dale, and he's like, I remember wanting to be a dinosaur. And he like fixes his arms. He's like, my dad grabbed me and said, grow the bleep up.
Get a job.
Get a job.
Yeah.
And I never, cricks his neck,
Yeah.
I never went back to it. Dad, you know
We
a
need to-
dinosaur is.
I want to
Dad,
rewatch
Dad,
Step
you're a
Brothers
human.
so bad. Maybe we just
Yeah,
rewatch.
that was all improv.
No, it shut
No.
up.
Yeah, that
Not
was.
the whole movie.
No. But
Oh.
that scene, the dinosaur rant, was improv.
Oh, wow.
Somebody saying Cam Newton with the hats. Cam Newton didn't start doing the hats till after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
No, that came way later. Him wearing the crazy
He had
stuff.
a buzz cut for his. Like he was very.
majority,
you
yeah.
know, he had a big personality or whatever, but he
sure.
wasn't like outside.
But he was like magnetic, like big
Yeah.
smile, like always talking loud. But like Cam Newton didn't start doing the hats until way later.
The chat is as bad at this game as we are because they're saying Xavier Legette. I mean, he sounds
He just
funny.
has an accent. No, it's
That's
hard.
more than an accent. That's a ridiculous way of speaking.
It's hard to find anybody that comes close to just Mendoza's just goober nature. It's hard, especially for a number 1 draft pick
There's
quarterback.
got to be somebody else, though, that was like gooberish and intense.
Well, this is why Greg Cosell does what he does.
Bingo.
Please ask Greg that question.
Oh, if one, you don't have a hair on your chest.
I have all of the hair on my chest.
No, you
Who's the
don't.
silliest football player
Greg?
of all time?
Yeah. Okay. Who's asking it? This needs to be figured out before. I will not end this segment until we figure out who is asking Greg.
Special announcement with Greg Cosell coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Greg Cosell is here. Normally, we would tape an episode of The Install with Greg Cosell on Thursday mornings, but because I flew back from Phoenix from owners' meetings late last night, and because we have a special announcement, Greg is here with us now. Buddy, you ready to tell people what we've got for them here in a month? Good to see you, by the way.
God, can you? Wow, it's a month. It's less than a month. Can you believe it?
I really can't. I feel like we get in this mode every year where, we football season ends and you're like, okay, what am I going to do until football comes back? Except football really never stops.
Well, the thing I always love is when I see people, that maybe don't know me super well, or they're living their lives and they're not following my life as they shouldn't, and they just assume that when the season ends that I don't do anything, that I sit around with my feet up smoking cigars, and it's not quite like that.
I didn't take you for a cigar guy generally, Greg.
Well, I'm not actually. It was just just one of those statements.
No. I think you would look very distinguished with a cigar. Either way, we will not be smoking cigars. We might.
A cigar and a smoking jacket. Maybe that's what I should wear for the event.
I think that's correct, because the event, of course, is the Install Live with Greg Cosell on Friday, May the 1st, less than a month from today, where Greg will be in town, where we will be breaking down the 2026 Titans draft class and a boatload of free agents that they have continued to sign over the course of these last couple of weeks. Tickets are available right now at HuttonHotel.com under their events tab for you guys to be in the house for this year, the 4th annual live show event. Greg, I know you love coming down to Nashville generally, but what's your favorite part about doing the live show with the fans?
The best thing, and I say this in all honesty, are the fans, because, look, we've been doing it now. It's just the third or the fourth one. I can't remember. But the point is just the fans are great because, ideally, I'm sure a lot of them do listen to, you and I talking. They listen to my segment on 3HL, and I think they know the way I go about this. So just the questions, the comments, they're really smart people. And, the thing I love even as much or more is, the good hour or so before we actually officially start it, and I just get a chance to talk to the fans, and that to me is just so much fun. I mean, the thing that I really feel good about is no one feels like it's a problem to come up and talk to me like, oh man, we can't talk to him, that it's just like, hey, talking to your friends, we just have great conversations, and it's just great to be there. It's great to be there with all the folks, and I'm really looking forward to doing it again.
Well, and they've done so much, Greg, here in the last couple of weeks, even before we get to the draft, with another wave, their second wave of free agent signings yesterday, that we're basically going to be talking about. That's the fun part of this event, is no team, even though it's the same franchise, it's the same uniforms. Well, I guess in the case of the Titans, it's going to be different uniforms, but you get my meaning. It's the same club year over year, but it's never the same team. There's always different elements to dissect, to discuss, whether it's coaching changes that come with schematic changes or personnel adaptations. It's always a new team that we have to talk about at this thing.
And what's really interesting is, you mentioned some of the later signings who, they're probably not big names in the way you think of big names, like the Franklin Myers or the Alante Taylors or, Jermaine Johnson, who, those kinds of the Wan'Dale Robinsons, for instance. But sometimes those later guys who you don't think of, like, I'll give you an example. The linebacker they signed from who was with the Browns, Diabate, who I think played at the University of Florida, if memory serves me correctly. So I think maybe people down there would recognize his name. When I watched the Browns defense, he played a lot of snaps for them, and he was a starter in a lot of games. It's guys like that. Jordan Elliott, a D tackle, guys like that, they sort of fall under the radar. Maybe they don't fall under the radar necessarily in Nashville because they follow the team, but they're not the big name signings. And these guys become, really kind of important players, or can be. We don't know how the roster is going to play out. Obviously, it's April 2nd. We have no idea. We haven't done the draft yet. But, sometimes these kinds of players, Buck, as you know, they become kind of important factors, whether they play 15 snaps a game or 35 snaps a game.
Yeah, and just because we don't have the draft in hand yet, this obviously informs a great deal of what they will do in the draft. Not to say that Mo Diabate and his signing would stop them from taking an off-ball linebacker, or that trading for Jermaine Johnson means that they're not going to draft an edge with the 4th overall pick. But it does help inform some of the places that they can look at their roster and say, okay, here's what we can do in the draft to put what we've done in free agency over the top.
Yeah, and sometimes free agency is really odd with players. I mean, I look at a guy like KJ Osborne, who they signed as well. And I remember a few years ago in Minnesota, he looked like he was a really good, like, number 3 type receiver. And then all of a sudden, who knows why it didn't work? And then he goes to a couple of teams and it doesn't work out. And now all of a sudden he's with the Titans. And again, he may not even make the roster. So I'm not going to sit here and say, wow, that's a great signing. He's on the roster. We're good to go. But, there's so many players in the league, as that are like that, are not stars, but it just seems like they do well in one place. For some reason, they move on. It doesn't work elsewhere. I think he went to New England. It didn't work. But yet a few years ago, it just looked like he was a really nice receiver in the league that could have played for 10 years. So you never know with guys like that.
Tickets for the live show on Friday, May the 1st with Greg Cosell, with me and 300 of your closest Titans fan friends are available at HuttonHotel.com under their events tab. Robert is putting the link for the tickets in the YouTube chat for those of you who want to go ahead and knock that out today, because as Greg mentioned, we are less than a month away from the event, which means we're 3 weeks away from the draft itself. Now, Greg and I have been talking about positions the last couple of weeks. Greg, today I'd like to focus in on the edge guys, given that there are a lot of options at the top of the draft for the Titans, not just at the top of the draft, though. Would you say that this is one of the position groups in this draft across the board that has the greatest depth?
Yeah, and I think that there'll be guys that you can get later in the draft, day 2, even maybe day 3. And it all depends once you get later in the draft, then it comes down to how different teams evaluate different players, how they see them potentially in their scheme, how they project them, because very often those guys are not guys who are going to be week 1 guys who play 30 snaps. So very often that's what happens with guys who get drafted later. But this is a fairly deep class, and there's always different kinds of players, and that's the thing. I mean, and there's a bunch of guys, for instance, that I like that, I don't, me, Buck, I'm no good with where a guy gets drafted because there's just way too many variables. I can only tell you how I see a guy when I watch his tape. And I think there's a lot of guys that are really intriguing players depending upon team and scheme.
So let's start with Ruben Bain. He's one of the more discussed edge guys in this class out of Miami. Obviously a very accomplished college player. Greg, where the biggest discussion is, of course, is his arm length, sub 31-inch arms at his official measurements. Do you see that show up in his college tape in a way that's detrimental?
I would say no, but those are really hard conversations to have and I certainly don't know the answer to that. Other than I say that I should have either been a defensive end or an offensive lineman because my shirts are 34, 35-inch, sleeve length. So I probably should have been an offensive lineman in my youth. But I don't know how to deal with the arm length issue, because you hear so many different points of view. I will tell you that Bain is a fun player to watch. I mean, the primary foundation of his game is power and physicality. I mean, this guy plays hard on every single snap. If you're being honest about what you watch on tape, he's kind of a sawed-off, hyper-physical, competitive, tenacious 4-3 D end with what I call an outstanding playing personality. The guy plays fast. He plays with urgency. He's strong. Is he the best athlete you'll see at the DN position? No. You wouldn't say he's a high-level athlete by NFL standards, but he's got explosive strength. That's his foundation. I mean, I would say that there's kind of a subtle quickness to him. Is he twitchy, the way we use the word twitchy, and sudden, the way we use those words in the scouting, business? No, but there's kind of a subtle quickness to him. I like the player. He's a hard guy not to like, just watching his tape.
Well, and that's the thing, because you mentioned that you get conflicting or different kind of discussions from coaches, and as much as much detail as you're willing to share with the audience, Greg. Where do those what's kind of the different versions of those conversations around arm length, not specific to Bain, but just generally?
It's almost like offensive linemen. I'll just give you an example. Like with Will Campbell, okay, the offensive tackle who's with New England, and obviously people know him in your area because he was with LSU for 3 years. So Joe Thomas did a whole thing on social media where he said that his issues over the last month of the season had nothing to do with his arm length, and he talked about what he thought it had to do with. And Joe Thomas obviously knows more about left tackle play than I do. And then I spoke to an O-line coach that I've known for years. He's been in the league for 30 plus years. And he said, oh, absolutely. It all had to do with his arm length. So, you get into those discussions with people who really know, Buck, and you're going to hear both sides all. It'll be the same with Ruben Bain. You're going to hear some people say, oh, no, it's a big deal. And you're going to hear other people say, hey, just watch the guy play, and it's not a big deal. So I can't get caught up in that because I'm being honest. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a line coach. I don't know the answer. All I know is I watch him play, and I really enjoy watching him play. And I think that he's going to be a good player. Now, can I sit here and say if the Titans draft him that, next year at this time, we're going to be saying, well, he had 15 sacks? No, I can't answer that. But I think Ruben Bain is going to be a really good player. He's a tempo setter. He plays with swagger. You love the way in which he plays. He's strong. He's powerful. One thing I learned going to the O-line mastermind events with Duke Manyweather, who's phenomenal. Duke, I'm sure. Jeff Schwartz. These guys are phenomenal. Is all these O-linemen say that the number one thing that a D lineman must have is power. And that's what Ruben Bain has. Ruben Bain is a power physical player.
David Bailey out of Texas Tech, a different kind of a player, but a lot of intriguing elements to his game. Would you say that he's got more in his pass rush arsenal than somebody like Bain?
I would say he has a different pass rush arsenal. His pass rush arsenal is more dependent on being twitchy and being sudden. He's a different kind of player. And those plays, by the way, and I'm just being honest, those plays look better. It's like in let's say in basketball, the guy who drives down the lane and does a slam dunk, you go, oh my God, as opposed to a guy who drives down the lane and lays it in. It just looks different. It looks better. We get more excited about it. But so you're talking about Bailey. Certainly, I would say that he's got a lot of tools in his pass rush toolbox. He's got sudden burst off the ball. He can challenge what we call the high side, meaning the outside shoulder of an offensive tackle. He's got that immediate burst, that suddenness. He's got club and rip moves. He can close with speed to the quarterback. He can bend. He's got an inside spin move, which is really difficult. I don't want to sit and compare him to, someone like Dwight Freeney, who was a master at that inside spin move because he's a Hall of Famer. But you're dealing with a guy that has great bend, great flexibility, great balance, great body control. He can do something that's absolutely essential if you're going to be that kind of pass rusher. He can flatten his rush path once he gets to the edge. You see, there are a lot of guys that can get to the edge, Buck, but they can't flatten their rush path. So what happens is they just get pushed past the quarterback. He can flatten his rush path and take that sharp angle to the quarterback. The question is he a 4-3 D end? He's definitely can be, an outside backer and kind of a base 5-2 front, but is he a true 4-3 D end in a base defense? Not a sub front where you're rushing the quarterback, but in a base defense, because he's 251, and normally that's considered a little light, but you have to decide, can he do that?
Arvell Reese played everywhere at Ohio State for the most part, and did spend the NFL Combine with the off-ball linebackers going through the drills and things like that. He does have versatility, of course, Greg, but and just kind of going off our conversations, I asked a lot of coaches at owners' meetings about how their experience ramping up young players who do have versatility, but just trying to make sure that they find a home base first so that they can start somewhere and then further grow their skill set. Yeah.
Now, Reese, to me, look, and Reese is a fact. I've gotten to know Matt Patricia over the years. He was here at NFL Films for a couple of years, and I've known Matt, and obviously he'll tell you Reese can do anything, which he can. By the way, the guy's a freak. I mean, he's a true freak of nature, just with his size, his power, his movement. So the question is, when you first get to the NFL, do you play a player like that in multiple spots, or do you say, hey, here's what he is to start, because we have to teach him how to play a position in the context of our defense? And then as he learns that position, do you say, hey, now we can move him around? Now, granted, he has experience being moved around in a clear pro-style defense, because Matt Patricia, for people that don't know, was obviously a defensive coordinator under Bill Belichick for years. He was the head coach of the Detroit Lions. He has a ton of NFL experience. So the system he played in this past year was an NFL system with NFL coaching, no question about it. But still, you're increasing the level of competition. You're moving to the NFL. I watch him, and I know there'll be disagreement on this, and I don't think it's a mathematical equation with being right or wrong. But I think he can become a dominant edge pass rusher, and then the kind of player you can move him around, what we call a joker, meaning you can move him around similar to the way a Micah Parsons is deployed. Now, I don't want people to think I'm saying he's Micah Parsons today on April 2nd. That's not my point. But I think he can become that style of player, and I think there are snapshots of him as a pass rusher this past year at Ohio State where you just go, wow. So I really like him as an edge pass rusher. And again, he doesn't weigh what you want him to weigh, but, theoretically, neither does Micah Parsons. So we'll see. We'll see how, if he's the guy they want to take it for, how, I don't know how Mike Borgonzi and Robert Saleh and their coaching staff sees him. Do they see him as a stack backer first? Do they see him as an edge player first? I don't know the answer to that, but I think he can become a dominant edge pass rusher down the road.
Every time we talk about a position group, I cede the floor to Greg to give us one prospect that he hasn't talked necessarily enough about in his opinion, or somebody whose tape he's really enjoyed that maybe the average fan isn't talking about right now, Greg.
Let's go down the line a little bit, okay? Obviously a lot of people are talking about, they see mock drafts. We all look at them. They're fun. There seems like there's a new one every day. Let's leave out the guys that are sort of in the top of the mock drafts. Sure. Let's go down maybe to day 2, even day 3, because that could be what the deal is. I look at a guy like Derek Moore, an edge from Michigan, very much. I did him last summer from his 2024 tape, did him this year. I think he's a really good prospect. Even his partner, Jayshon Barham, who was a stack backer in 2024, they moved him to the edge this year at Michigan. He's a really intriguing player. I look at a guy, everybody talks when they look at Auburn, at Keldrick Falk. There's a player who plays opposite him, Kieran Crawford, who I'm sure you're familiar with being in the SEC. I think he's just scratching the surface of what he can be as an edge player, because he just hasn't played a lot of football. So those are just 3 names that, to me, maybe a 4th name is Malachi Lawrence from UCF. And these are players who will not be first-round players. But, again, the Titans draft 4th unless they trade out. So they're only going to get, that one guy in the first round. And then you got to start thinking down the road. And who knows what they're going to do it for. But, these are just players that I think are really intriguing edge players that I think can find a place and play well in the NFL.
And it's going to be great on Friday, May the 1st, to break down these players. The first-round pick, the guys taken on day 2 and day 3. Of course, we always have tape cut-ups for Greg to analyze in real time for us to be able to take your questions in the house. And, of course, the best part of it is it's helping raise money for Home Street Home, an awesome charity here in Nashville that we are happy to help out every year with the event. Greg, I can't wait. I'm fired up about it. I know the audience is looking forward to being in the house. We only have 300 of these things, so get them as soon as you can, because we only have less than a month.
That's what I couldn't believe when we first started the segment and you said less than a month. I had to look at my phone to see the date. It's April 2nd. Man, it's less than a month. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I mean, hell, teams with new coaches like the Titans are going to start practicing and stuff like that here in a couple of days. So it's full speed ahead the rest of the way through. Buddy, thank you for making the time.
I got to find out when the mandatory minicamp is, and hopefully I can get down for that as well.
Yeah, as soon as they send out the schedule, we will pencil in those dates to make sure that you can get the full experience. Thank you for taking some time, Greg. Can't wait to see you on May the 1st.
All right, Buck. Thanks. Really looking forward to it.
Love you, Greg.
Hotel.
All right.
It's okay. You don't have to acknowledge him, Greg. You just smile and wave. You keep it moving. That's how it goes. That's Greg Cosell. His laugh is one of my favorite laughs. One of the best laughs out there. But yeah, we can't wait to have you guys there on Friday, May the 1st. A lot of messages and DMs and stuff like that about tickets. Tickets are now available. HuttonHotel.com. At the events tab, you will see the picture of Greg and me and the Zone logo and link to purchase your tickets for the event. This is the 4th one we've done. Every one of them has been better than the last. Robert has been scheming on things that he wants to do because he can't get enough of being on the stage at this event. And of course, like I said, charity is at the heart of it. Home Street Home, a great cause, helping those less fortunate. Stephen Young and his amazing team, the work that they're doing, especially now when a lot of people are feeling so financially pressed. So we're looking forward to having you. You can get your tickets online. You can get your tickets in the YouTube chat. We'll have more of information available on socials, and we'll wrap up the show with some polls coming up next.
Lunchtime, best part of the day. Hey, it's Lucas Panzica. You know I would never lead you astray when it comes to food, so let me tell you that Hattie B's Hot Chicken should be in your near future. At any one of their Middle Tennessee locations, Melrose, Midtown, Charlotte, in West Nashville, even inside of Geodis Park, everywhere you look, there's a Hattie B's near you. Even if you're hitting Broadway, one right there for you to enjoy. The best, crispiest, juiciest hot chicken, whether it's mild, medium, hot, all the way up to shut the cluck up, whatever spice level works for you. And the sides, Hattie B's knows are important, and they act that way. HattieB.com and the Hattie B's app. That's how you can order for pickup or delivery and start to build up those rewards. When you download the app, you get a free dessert just for downloading the app. Pretty big games coming up this weekend. Fuel your watch party with Hattie B's Hot Chicken today.
We got Vols scrimmage updates. Josh Heupel speaking to the media, addressing things like the quarterback battle. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. Welcome back. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. What is the latest from Knoxville? What do we need to know?
Well, Josh Heupel has spoken, predictably. Not really going to be able to read into anything Josh Heupel says. And he knows that his words will be hyper-scrutinized more than usual, so I think he will be more vanilla than usual, if that's possible, whenever being asked about this QB competition. They're both coming along. They're both progressing. We ask a lot of our quarterbacks in the offense. But Adam Sparks of Knox News with some scrimmage takeaways today. Faison Brandon in the scrimmage threw a touchdown pass to tight end Desan Brame. He also threw a pick six that was returned by safety Idris Farouk. Sparks writes, Brandon has been impressive physically in flashes, but he's also had predictable growing pains in operating the offense. Redshirt freshman George McIntyre has had plenty of good and bad as well. He has sometimes been indecisive against a heavy pass rush led by Penn State transfer Xavier Gilliam, who I will add, the defensive lineman has been turning a lot of heads throughout spring practice. Sparks writes, both quarterbacks have struggled at times against coordinator Jim Knowles' newly installed defense, which appears ahead of schedule. So the old cliche, defense ahead of the offense, seems to be the case for Tennessee. Which is interesting because there's a massive overhaul with Jim Knowles coming in and taking over, but he has multiple guys that will play key roles in that defense that have played in it before, that transferred over from Penn State, that I imagine are serving some sort of role in helping other players come along. So quarterback competition, wide open, some good, some bad from both.
Yeah, I just come back to that inexperience, but I totally get why the fan base would want Faison Brandon. Just because you have that impending dread of, well, what happens if we don't start him? And that's a sucky place to be because, I mean, Vanderbilt doesn't have anybody even real. I mean, there's competition, but nobody's really pushing Jared Curtis, right?
Yeah. No, I don't know of I don't know the other Vandy quarterbacks in the room, but I'm sure we could get somebody on to give us some more insight into that, how their spring ball's going as well.
Yeah, I kind of want them to start Brandon just so we could get that Curtis-Brandon conversation all year long. You know, I know that's not a realistic reason to want the kid to start, but obviously you start the best quarterback for the purposes of the coaching staff, the fan base, whatever. But, man, that would just be so interesting to talk about that every week.
The QB competition, like we said, will go into training camp. Nobody will have an opportunity to transfer until after the regular season ends, when that winter portal opens. We've seen before guys win a job under Heupel and then it go differently. So, yes, somebody's going to emerge out of this as QB1, and the hope is that that's the guy that gives you the best chance to win and that he hangs on to that spot and doesn't let go of it, is consistent throughout the year. But they're going to name somebody in whatever, August, whenever it happens. Then there's still a whole season that has to be played, and injuries are a factor, and performance is a factor. So this will be an interesting ride here over these coming months with Tennessee's QB room. But Heupel certainly is not going to help us with any insight when he speaks, nor should he.
You said that he's going to be more vanilla if possible. I just simply don't think there's a way.
Yeah,
he can't. No man is more adept at saying like who is a less. I don't want to say insightful because that implies that he's not. There is some insight when he speaks, but there's very, very little to work with at a Josh Heupel press conference. It's a skill.
Tennessee's spring game is next Saturday, the 11th. Vanderbilt's spring game is the following Saturday on April 18th.
There's understanding the nature of spring games changing. Is there another? What's the other quarterback battle that we're not talking about in the SEC?
Oh, man. Off the top of my head, I'd have to refresh on who all
transferred
off everywhere.
The cuff, but I'm just thinking, is there a higher profile quarterback battle than the one going on with the Vols?
Probably not off the top of my head. As NIL has inflated in the college game, I think we are seeing it be more and more like the NFL, where you just don't really see starting quarterback battles very often, right? Typically, in a lot of cases, for the bigger programs, the quarterback that's in place is probably making some sort of big money. Arch Manning is making big money at Texas. Sam Levitt is making big money to be the starter at LSU. A lot of times you're bringing somebody in to be the guy like you do in the NFL when you draft somebody in the first round. So I think it is further and fewer between than it's ever been.
Had we done the polls today, the polls would have been presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Online at tworiversford.com. Tickets for the install are available. Get them now while you can. We've got less than a month, and we're looking forward to having you there. We will be back tomorrow, and we'll look forward to having you there with us from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. Have a great rest of your afternoon. You've got Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons. They're going to make you smarter about all things draft and NFL, whatever else they got on the docket, coming up next.